Okay, everybody, trying out some new stuff here. Hopefully we get this working just okay here. I'm trying to figure out what to do. There we go. Can't see what I'm doing on my end, but it's definitely interesting. Okay, there we go. Hey Liz, how are you doing? It's been a minute. Hopefully, I hope everything's going okay. Good, good. I'm doing good. Just trying out some new stuff here. Hopefully, you like this. I feel like it gives a little bit of character to the scene, so I'm gonna try out some different effects, different things going on here, and as we move forward, have just a little bit more going on. It makes the cards a little weird. Good. I'm glad to hear you're doing great. Yeah, it's been a minute, but I've also been, on and off. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully, everyone else likes it too. It's interesting though, because you can look at this. Okay. So this card right here, okay, it has green. These energy oracle cards have green on them, right? But because the green screen behind me is keyed in on the color green, when I hold up a green object, I can basically like disappear if I hold it out far enough. Kind of neat. Kind of a neat little thing. I'm going to have to change the color, I'm thinking. So, we'll see what that's like moving forward. Okay, we'll get everything going here. I think I'm going to light an incense and get some good vibes going. It's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. I'm learning how to do all sorts of different stuff, but the green screen, it's actually not as hard as you think. But like, I'll be right back. I'm just going to light an incense, so hold on. Okay. We're back here, so let's... Oh, I want to do that. Let's move that, and then I can move over a little bit more this way. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay. So, we're going to do our dailies here. I know it's a Thursday. We don't normally do Thursdays, but it's Mercury in retrograde, so weird shit happens. Okay, stuff just happens. I'm going to start shuffling the cards here. Certain cards I will not show to the camera. I'm still learning how to do the green screen effect, and so I will just tell you the cards that have a lot of green on them, because it looks a little janky at the moment. But let's see what we can do here. So let's start shuffling. And see what we can do moving more forward here. Something really quick. All right. Let's get these shuffled. Hope everyone's doing okay. And even those guys that are watching this a little bit later on, hope you guys are doing okay too. I know sometimes my lives can be a little bit hard to get to sometimes, so I hope you guys are doing well too. Okay. They're even hard for me to get to sometimes, so don't feel too bad. A little bit more of a shuffle here. There we go, one more shuffle. And we will move on to these cards. These cards actually show up pretty well. So if I show you one of these cards, well, that one doesn't. Okay, that's a bad example. This one will show up well. It's just the black and white. I'll work on the camera focusing too. I need to do that one of these days. Fairly soon. Need that camera to... Come on now. There we go. And I also got new glasses today, so yeah, these ones are these are a bit more round, a little bit bigger. I feel like they fit my face pretty well. Just wanted to try a new look, something a little bit different. Okay, a couple more shuffles. All right. See what we got here. Okay. So we're going to start doing our readings for, I guess we'll do Saturday, or we'll do Friday and Saturday today. I might go live tomorrow, and when I go live tomorrow, we can do... No, because that's too confusing. All right, we'll just do a reading for Friday for this time, for this general reading. So let's see what we get for Friday. Again, these cards I won't be holding up, okay? You can see they look a little bit different. So I won't be holding up these cards. I will be telling you what they are. So hopefully I've established a little bit of trust between you and me. But I'll try and figure out the green screen situation, but all the cards look just a little bit wonky. Okay. So we'll do Friday right here. Boom. Boom. Okay, so let's do this. So this is for Friday. And we get these cards here. Every single one of them has green, but I'll show a little bit. We have the Ace of Coins. We have the the 8 of Wands right here. And then we have third chakra Archangel Chamuel in reverse, which not looking too good. He's having a hard time. Guess there's more green in that card than I thought. So when we're talking about these cards here, Ace of Coins, 8 of Wands, and third chakra Archangel Chamuel in reverse, this to me is that we're looking for... There could be fast-moving matters when it comes to money. There could be something fast-moving financially. There could be something coming on the fast track for us. So maybe something we've been waiting for could be coming to us. However, because we have the third chakra, Archangel Chamuel in reverse, it could be that we maybe are trying to control it too much. Maybe we're blaming ourselves for things that are not our fault. But we want to blame something, and we figure ourselves are a good place to start. So I would say with this on Friday that we're looking at someone who, and all of us tend to do this depending on the situation, but we could be looking at a situation where we're blaming ourselves. We're feeling like, hi, Joanna, love, how are you doing? We tend to blame ourselves for situations that we can't control. And I feel like that needs to stop, kind of on our journey to that self-love journey that we talk about on the channel so much, is that we have to realize that certain things will be out of our control. They just will. It's not... there's not a lot we can do about that. But what we can do is we can work on how we can react to it. Okay, so let's say we wanted something to happen. We were planning a picnic. We wanted everything to go right, but it was raining. It was raining outside. That's not our fault, right? But some part of us, depending on how we grew up or what's going on, we can blame ourselves for things like the weather being a certain way. And self-love, we can learn to kind of reverse that, but depending on kind of how ingrained it is, it takes time to unlearn these kinds of behaviors. So just letting you know that I feel like everyone does it, but we can work on incorporating that voice of gentleness and love into the situation, because that's going to be what gives us the most benefit. That's going to be what helps us the most, right? Okay, so let's look at the other cards for Friday. This is just for the generals here. And we have... Okay, here's the other part of Friday. And we have... The only card I think I can show you without having the green screen go all wonky is this one. We have the Emperor in reverse. Okay, this is an Aries card. But when it's in reverse, like I said, when we were talking about the control issues, Aries in reverse is about control, control, control. And that comes off as like dominating, but not in a fun, cute way, not in a, you know, oh, it's okay. Like in a way where it's like we're taking away other people's wills to do something, or someone is taking away our will to do something. So Friday could be a day where either we're being way, way too assertive, or other people are trying to kind of pin their stuff on us. Other people are trying to control us in some way, shape, or form. So we have to be kind of on the lookout. The reason why I'm thinking it could be other people more so is when we see woman holding a coin in reverse, okay, again, I'm invisible. When we see woman holding a coin in reverse, to me, that is a card where the finances are kind of on the other foot. So there could be something, money could be on the table, things could be happening, and the way we could look at this is Friday could be a day where a promotion offer comes up, something happens, right, for some of us that are working, and maybe we're passed up for a promotion. Like, we still have our job, things are going great, but maybe we're passed up for a promotion, but things can still be moving for us. It really depends how we act or react in the situation that comes up. But I understand that some of these kinds of situations are difficult. We also have the Page of Coins in reverse, okay? Basically looks like there is just a girl's head on that card, but trust me, there's other parts to it. Page of Coins right up there, okay? So the Page of Coins in reverse, that again is about money, but it's about having a novice or a basic way of understanding money. Maybe even holding on to it so tight that nothing's going to happen to it. And I feel like we have a rainy day fund, or we have something like that. And the thing with that is that it's okay to let loose sometimes. It's okay to spend money. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to like dig into that just a little bit, because we've been working hard for it. And I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in the penny pinching mentality that we need to realize that we're making money so that we can spend it, not so that we can die without spending it and be like, man, I did all that work for nothing. Kind of a grim reminder, right? But to me, that's kind of an important part of this, where we have to focus on why we're doing what we're doing. What is it that helps us to keep going in these kinds of endeavors? And I feel like we have to reward ourselves occasionally. We have to do something occasionally where we break out of our rut, we break out of the normalcy. And when we do that, that's going to help us. That's going to help us tremendously towards discovering other things, other options that are available. Sometimes we put off doing a hobby, we put off doing a project because maybe it's too expensive, or maybe it's too this, or it's too that. But ultimately, the only thing I feel like we can take with us after we're gone from this life is love and experiences. Those are the only things I feel like we can take with us. And if we're depriving ourselves of experience for no reason, I'm just thinking, why do we do that, right? I'm guilty of it too. I'm not saying I'm perfect with this. I'm not. But I'm trying to work on this. I'm trying to understand things from that perspective of letting go, letting things happen, letting things sort of take their course, right? And in this situation, if you feel like you want to do something, but you keep putting something off, you keep doing that, I'm going to say surprise yourself. Try doing something, even if it's something you think you're not going to like, okay? For instance, my example is a year ago, I started doing these lives. And I've been doing them off and on. I've been trying to be consistent, but things get the better of me sometimes. But I started last year, I think it was October or September, and I did not want to do it at first. I did not want to do lives. I thought it was going to be something that was going to be scary or just kind of difficult or harder to do, you know, and I was nervous about communicating with people, doing readings for people. But then I did it, and I realized that there wasn't that much to be scared of, right? There wasn't that much that was that frightening. Most people were very kind and genuine. It was just kind of a situation where I had to learn how to develop a new skill set. And I feel like that's something that all of us kind of need to have, right? Those different experiences, things we can learn from. Hold on one second here. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take a drink. All right, hold on. I will be right back, you guys. Just give me 1 second here. I'm sorry, person who came onto my channel. I cannot read what you're writing. You probably can't understand what I'm saying either. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Let me do this. Okay, we are back and ready for action here. So essentially speaking, for Friday, financial situations can come up, okay? if these things come up and it's beyond our control, let's let it go as much as we can. That doesn't mean don't feel upset, don't feel angry, you know. It means feel your emotions, but really feel them. And have that be something that is just part of the process. And so it doesn't mean be, you know, muted, be emotionally muted. No, it means hold yourself accountable, feel your emotions. Feel your emotions fully, feel them deeply, and then move on from that kind of thing. It's sort of like allowing yourself to go with the flow. Don't hold on to it for no reason. If there's a reason to hold on and you feel like it hurts, it's painful, express that, feel that. But if you feel like it's time for you to move on, then allow that process to happen as well. Again, we're all learning. We're kind of all in this together when it comes to learning in that way. So let's do this here. Let's see what we can get. All right, let's do this here. Just gotta get all my cards organized in the right spot, and let's shuffle these up. Okay. So a couple more shuffles here. And a couple more shuffles here. Okay, hold on. Okay. One second, guys. Okay. All right. So let's see what we can get here. Let me draw a few more cards. These will kind of just be a weekly energetic reading, just something we can focus on. I'm trying to crack my neck here. Allow yourselves to get comfortable, relax as much as possible. And again, I know I normally don't do these on Thursdays, but we're just going to try something out. Okay, just a weekly, general weekly energy reading spread. So let's see what we get here. So we have these two cards here. It is the anxiety card we have right there. You can't see the bottom part there, but that's the anxiety card. And then we have the deceit card in reverse. Again, can't really see because of the green screen, right? But when I see anxiety and then I see deceit in reverse, it could be that we're feeling anxious about situations that have not happened or most likely will not happen. It's sort of like we're living in the future already. So the present moment no longer exists. We're already living in the future, and we already feel like the future is going to be negative or it's going to be bad, right? So that's how I would read these cards. And the reason why deceit over here is in reverse is because I feel like it's something we're telling ourselves, it's something we're doing to ourselves. So we're putting ourselves kind of in this almost like a prison situation. We're putting ourselves in prison. We have the key the whole time. It's never taken away from us. But that's what I'm seeing is going on here for the weekly energy reading. So let's look at what we can do to sort of make that better. What's something we can do to focus on making that better? And I'm going to draw one more card. Okay, so we have these two cards. Okay, again, I'll show you. They're going to look a little weird. We have the Broken Heart and Magician in the Mirror in reverse. Okay, so these cards right here, these cards are telling me that we could be looking at a situation where, I already said it before, but it's kind of like we're breaking our own hearts. We're doing something else. However, when I see this in reverse, it could be that maybe we are trying to do something. Maybe we are trying to get help in our lives, or maybe we're trying to change things. We're trying to change our perspective. When I see the Magician in the Mirror in reverse, to me, the Magician in the Mirror is about manifestation energy. If it's in reverse, I feel like we're talking about other things. I feel like we're talking about the lack of manifesting or the lack of being able to bring in what we feel like we need, or the anxiety of feeling like we're not good at what we're doing, or we're not good enough to get what we want in life. There can definitely be that anxiety. So a lot of this stems from thinking, right? There's thinking, there's overthinking. And if you guys are anything like me, there's extreme ways of thinking sometimes where it's very difficult for us to think in a different way, right? Humans have a way we like to think, and it's very, very linear. And when we're talking about introducing new concepts, new ways of thinking, that in itself can be a very big challenge. We tend to get stuck in a way of thinking. We tend to get stuck in these kinds of ruts where it's very hard for us to move on, or it's very hard for us to focus on new things that are coming into our life. It's much easier to stay in the past, but the thing with the past is that we've already been there. We've already lived it. If we want to have new experiences, we need to allow new things to come into our lives. I know that we get comfortable with how things are, and we don't want to do anything to change that comfort bubble, okay? But sometimes being comfortable in itself is a trap, because when we're comfortable, we're no longer growing. We should always be a little bit uncomfortable to challenge ourselves to grow, to challenge ourselves to feel like we're doing something with our lives, okay? Being uncomfortable is not a sign that we're doing something wrong. In a lot of ways, it can be a sign that we are actually doing something right with our lives. But we need to embrace these new concepts. We need to embrace these ways of being. And these ways of being take time. That's why we talk about being gentle on this channel. We talk about bringing that gentleness to us, because that's kind of a big deal, right? That's kind of a part of the equation, so to speak. Now, with that being said, when we're talking about manifesting, I talked about it on Monday's reading, okay? When we're talking about manifesting, we are talking about bringing about change through already being in alignment with what it is that we want to have, or what we have, okay? See, I used it too. When we use the term I want, and we give that out to the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, when we use the term I want, the universe is going to give us more situations where we will want it, but we won't have it, okay? If I want to get paid more money, okay, and I really want to get paid more money, and I'm just thinking about that I want to get paid more money, situations in my life will present themselves where I would want to get paid more money, but I don't have it. I don't have it already. And I know it sounds kind of asinine to say that we need to focus on being grateful for something we don't already have, but when we're grateful for things, when we're appreciative of things, the universe gives us more things to be appreciative about, and oftentimes those are the things that you want the most. And so allowing ourselves to be, the attitude of gratitude, being appreciative, that's going to bring us more things to be appreciative about. Hey buddy, I know. Yoshi's in the house, guys. Okay. Oh, hey buddy. He's the gray cat. Yoshi the gray cat, aren't you, buddy? Yeah. Yeah, come here. Yeah. Let's show the people. All right. This is Yoshi. He is big. He's a good boy. Okay, hold on. There. He's a good boy. Except when he's not. Okay, so let's move these cards out of the way and we can just do some chatting here. So we've talked about it on the channel before. I will mention my talking on spiritual abilities and how we can develop those. When we get more people in here, we can do readings, we can do all that. But in the meantime, let's focus on how we develop spiritual abilities. Okay? So I have my laptop here, and I'm just going to pull this up and be giving you guys some notes that I've written down. Okay. All right, so let me move this stuff over. I have my rocks and stuff, my crystals. So let's move this over here. And if I put this in front of me, I wonder if you guys can see the laptop if I open it up. You can't see it, but I'm wondering if maybe the sound is being blocked. It probably is. So I'll move this over here. Okay. We'll set this right here, and then that way we still have the sound, and then I can move back just a little bit. Okay. Quite a bit, Liz. So I started taking some antidepressants, and it's like antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication, and that's been helping, so that's been good. After I started taking that, then I went out and I got my GED, which I'm very proud that I got my GED. That was a long day. That was 6 hours of test taking, so that took a minute. And yeah, I just been trying to get things going in my life, been trying to get things moving forward. And so for me, it was kind of a lot, right? That for me was a big deal. I dropped out. I'm feeling better, but I dropped out of high school when I was 17, and I never went back to get my GED or to get my diploma or anything like that. And so to have that done, that's pretty nice. And so that's a little feather in the cap, so to speak. And so I think it's cool to have that done. It was a little bit of a sore spot. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. That was a little bit of a sore spot for me when people would bring up, if I had a diploma or not. Not that it happened in everyday conversation. That'd be weird, but now not so much. So I'm glad I could do that. Okay, so let's talk about these slides here. So I'll show you guys some of the stuff we'll be talking about. All right. It is a big accomplishment. So I'm going to be showing you these slides, They're going to be hard to see, but the first slide that we're going to be talking about is going to be the ego and mediumship. Okay, I'm still going to do readings. I'm just waiting for people to come on here, start asking questions. In the meantime, I can just go over some of this stuff to get people that maybe don't know where to start, maybe don't know what's going on. We can kind of start with the basics here and move on from there. Okay, I believe information like this should be free, or at the very least very, very cheap. Not because it's not worth something, but because information empowers people, and I feel like that's kind of the best way we can do this. Okay, so the ego and mediumship, that's going to be where we're starting out here. This right here is my class on mediumship development. This is part 1 of part 2 or part 3. I haven't made the part 3 yet, but this is part 1 of a class. And so let's see what we got here. All right, the ego and mediumship. Like everything else in life, balance is hugely important. And with mediumship, it's all about balance. Mediumship is a creative expression primarily of communication with spirit. The only way we can communicate with them effectively is to listen actively, okay? Active listening is different than listening, okay? Active listening is being in a place where you can respond, not because it's your turn to speak, but because you're hearing what the other person had to say and you're being active with that, okay? It's not jumping in and just starting a conversation. It's allowing yourself to passively hear and to understand things, kind of being calm and being a very calm listener, but also taking in all the information. Okay, so like a calm focus. When I say active listening, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. And apparently I have this here too. When I say actively listen, I mean to listen with our whole bodies. That too. And I'll explain that in a second. Spirit can communicate in some very different ways to what we are accustomed to. We will elaborate on this further in just a bit. If we are only listening with our ears, we will miss much of the message that has been given to us. So how do we go about doing this? First, we start by quieting the mind and allowing ourselves to trust the connection process. However, this can prove difficult because of our egos. Okay, so primarily what I'm talking about here, when I'm talking about this can be difficult because of our egos, or this can be a tricky situation, is because when we're talking about spiritual ability, when we're talking about developing spiritual ability, the mind likes to think that it knows everything. It likes to think that it already knows how to do it. It already knows what's going on. Being in a state where we're humble and we're allowing ourselves to learn, that's the only way we can truly learn something new. As soon as we think we know everything, we have closed ourselves off to learning new things. We've closed ourselves off to an opportunity to be humble, to grow, and to keep growing, right? We never know it all, okay? But the ego likes to say that we do. And this is where working on trauma comes into effect here, because generally speaking, we do that. We think we know everything because something could have happened in our younger childhood or in our, when we were very young, that made us feel like we didn't know anything, and so we're overcompensating now, all right? And so, and I've dealt with people like this before, and it's almost impossible to teach them anything or to talk to them about anything where growth could happen, because even if they know what I'm saying, and I don't have a problem, if people already know what I'm talking about, that's awesome. But I feel like we can learn something from everybody. I feel like there's a little bit that we can learn from everybody. Nobody has all the answers, and I feel like that'd be kind of boring if someone did, right? So first we start by quieting the mind and allowing ourselves to trust the connection process. However, this can prove difficult because of our egos, okay? The ego here is important to have. However, the ego makes a great worker, but a very lousy boss. The self, or the higher self, needs to keep the ego's lower survival instincts in check. Again, having an ego is natural and not a bad thing. Still, if we have too much ego, it makes us a very unbalanced individual, okay? And that is where ego comes in. So ego in spiritual concepts, ego is beautiful to have, and it teaches us survival concepts, and it teaches us stuff like that. But we are long since out of the survival state of mind. The ego, in my opinion, I mean, that's like an evolutionary thing, right? So the ego helped us to survive. It helped us to survive when there was saber-toothed tigers, and it helped us to survive when there was woolly mammoths, and there was all these dangers, and we had very basic primitive housing, and we didn't have these kinds of things. The ego was kind of there, and it was there to help us survive, okay? Fight or flight instincts. The ego came in and said, here's what we're going to do in this situation. We're just going to run, okay? And because of that, it kept us safe for a very long time. But now we can start untangling that ego. Hey, Roxana Ansari, hopefully I'm saying the name right. Welcome to the channel. We're just talking a little bit about spiritual development right now. Okay, so when we are working as a medium, it is our sacred duty to uphold what being a medium means, and what this means to me is being able to serve others with love and compassion that is needed to inspire others to heal and grow, and for others to get evidence that their dear family member or friend or animal companion is just as alive as they ever were, but without a physical body. How do we know this to be true? Because of evidence that can come through from the spirit realm, okay? And this part right here, I cannot stress enough. Until we've kind of experienced it and we've jumped into having firsthand experience, a lot of what I'm saying will seem kind of like wishful thinking. It will seem kind of like, you know, he's trying his hardest, but he just doesn't know what's going on. I understand how it sounds at first when we're talking about these spiritual concepts, when we're talking about the proof of life after death, or evidence that a family member or an animal companion or a friend is still somewhere out there, right? They have not died in the way that they're gone. I understand that that can be hard for people to handle, and I understand that just in general, that's kind of a difficult concept for us to understand. Roxana, if you want, you can donate. So it's $13 for a question, for one question, if you're using Google AdSense. If not, I have Patreon and PayPal. It's only $10 on Patreon or PayPal. So you could actually save a little bit of money if you go through that way. So you let me know what you want to do. It is in the description, or I can show it to you on screen, my Patreon and PayPal, if that's something you want to do. I don't do free readings, but thank you for coming by the channel. I do appreciate that. Okay, so let's move on to this one. So this is cool. I'll show you this. Here's what this slide looks like. So it's kind of hard to tell, but that's me right in the middle. And then I made these little introductions, but that in the middle that you're seeing, my girlfriend made that. And I thought she did an amazing job. So I wanted to put it in this slide because this is a brief introduction about me. So for those of you watching, you want to know a little bit about me, this really is just a little bit. So here we go. Brief introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Chance, and I am very excited to be here today. I am very excited. That part is absolutely true. My purpose for being here today is to talk about mediumship. I want to demystify what exactly it is and how we can go about developing it. I would also like to talk about why we would want to develop this and how we can go about doing just that. We will be talking about how to develop mediumistic abilities and what it means to be a medium. I hope you are ready to learn, and please feel free to ask questions as we go through this class. So that part's important. I don't want you guys to feel left out. If there are questions regarding developing mediumship and stuff like that, please feel free to ask, okay? Questions that are only for your personal benefit, that is going to cost money. Those ones cost money. But if we're talking about spiritual development and questions along those lines, please feel free to ask, okay? Those ones are free to ask. Okay, so let's move on to this. Okay. What is mediumship? Mediumship is the ability to communicate with a disincarnate spirit in the spirit world. A disincarnate spirit is a spirit without a physical body. An incarnate spirit is one that still has a physical body. So disincarnate, incarnate, right? So those two just basically mean with or without a body, right? So I feel like that's pretty straightforward. The medium's purpose in contacting the spirit world, the medium's purpose in contacting the spirit world is to be able to receive messages beyond the 5 physical senses and to communicate with the spirit world in some way. Meaning that, of course, that all mediumship should be done with the purpose or intent that can bring evidence through of a loved one. Hey, buddy. Okay, buddy. You're good. Come here. Yoshi likes to come in here and tell me what's going on. He's a meowdium. And he's feline fine. They're bad jokes, guys. You're just going to have to get used to them. Okay, so a loved one surviving physical death, or the intent. So the intent, well, the reason why we're doing the work, right? The intent could be to provide advice from the spirit world, or to learn more about spiritual philosophy, or possibly to provide healing, be it physical or spiritual. When we as mediums seek to communicate with spirits, we need to see some intelligence behind the communication to know that what we are communicating with is genuine and of a spiritual nature, okay? And this comes with practice. I'm still very much learning as well. All of this comes with practice. When we're talking about connecting with a spirit, everything that I'm saying, it makes sense when we try it, when we do it. Otherwise, it's kind of like I'm just saying things and we won't fully understand it until there is a development, until things start to kind of move along. Again, I know it sounds like wishful thinking. I know it sounds like some made up stuff, but when you've had as many experiences as I've had, and very, very awesome experiences, it creates a sense of belief. And in time, if you want to have that too, you can start to have those experiences as well. But it takes time, and it takes an openness and a readiness to learn, okay? That does not mean, though, that does not mean, though, that I don't want you guys to question it. I don't want you to think that what I'm saying is absolutely right and not question anything that I'm saying. Please do your own research. Come to your own conclusions, okay? What I'm saying is my perspective. It is not the perspective. It is not the only perspective. It is just my perspective. It's how I understand it, okay? And I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still evolving with this. So please don't take what I'm saying as gospel. Please do your own research, okay? I'm just helping to hopefully for you guys to have a way in, to have kind of your foot in the door. Okay, let's move on to this next slide here. Okay, so this is a big one. This is kind of a long one. So actually, let me make this bigger so I can read it easier. Okay. All right. Who can be a medium? Okay, so who can be a medium? And I'm just going to do this really quick. Hold on one second, you guys. Okay, so just looking at something really quick. Okay. So when we're talking about who can be a medium, just checking one thing. Okay. All right. So when we're talking about who can be a medium, I think this will give us some information on that. So bear with me, my friends. All right. Who can be a medium? There are basically 2 schools of thought on this subject of who can be a medium. And I understand that sounds like Dwight Schrute from The Office, but I promise I'm going somewhere that's not that's not that. The first school of thought is that you are born with a gift, and you either have this gift or you do not. However, the second school of thought is that mediumship is a faculty or an ability that we can all develop to varying degrees, like how we can all learn to draw or play music, for instance. Some of us are just a bit more gifted at it than others, but if we want to succeed and develop mediumship, it should be possible. So which of these two is accurate? And then I have a thing if we were doing a physical class. Basically, I say raise your hand if you think that a medium is born and either has the gift or does not have it. Okay, raise your hand if you think that mediumship is an ability that we can develop through training and dedication. Okay, so what if I told you that both were correct? We have mediums born with this gift and are naturals at it. Though rare, it does happen. We also have people who can take little to no mediumship ability and can turn that into an actual skill. Okay, I can dive into that a little bit more. We're going to read the rest of this though, and then I can sort of elaborate a little bit more. So let's dive into this. Let's see what we got. Oh, okay. Now that we have discussed who can be a medium, how does one actually become a medium? That process is very interesting. So with mediumship, there are two ways of honing this skill. The first is through the process of something called development. This has us learning techniques and sitting in the power, which we will discuss in a later class, and allowing ourselves to link with those in the spirit world. This is an external process, meaning that we take experiences from outside ourselves, like techniques and information, and incorporate it into our own development. There is another facet to this. When the medium is starting to develop, the unfoldment conditions can be met through spiritual and emotional practices. Okay, and I'll explain unfoldment here. I think it's on the next page, so just hear me out here. So, starting to develop, the unfoldment conditions can be met through spiritual and emotional practices like meditation or sitting in the power. Getting to know ourselves better and understanding our spirit guides and helpers makes it easier to unfold as well. The unfolding part of mediumship is an internal process where we transform our spiritual selves and in turn our spiritual gifts. Okay, so unfolding is something that happens naturally over time to a person. I won't use develop because that's used for something else. So unfolding is kind of like a natural process. It's like imagining a flower that is in bloom. When we're unfolding, that's what we're doing. We're imagining ourselves in bloom. We're imagining ourselves in that kind of situation. Okay? And these things usually happen naturally. There can be a teacher. There can be people who teach us along the way these kinds of concepts. But a lot of it is done through like self-understanding, looking at the self, understanding our own cognitive biases, and working through those as we move forward through this kind of development process. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next slide here. Okay, so this one we're talking about. I'm sorry I keep yelling, guys. I'm sorry about that. Okay, this one we're talking about development and unfoldment. Okay, so development, when we're talking about mediumship development is external. So it's mechanical. When I say mechanical, the reason why is because it is a process of doing something more habitual or taking part in a process of sorts. Okay, so development is kind of like you're sitting down and you're forcing yourself to sort of be in that space. You're forcing yourself to understand things, to be in that space, but it's kind of like a skill. You're developing a skill. So if you would imagine someone practicing the trumpet, okay, some people might be able to pick up the trumpet and be able to play it pretty good right off the bat, but a lot of people won't. A lot of people will have to work at it. They'll have to try to understand it more. And the development part, that's when we're focusing on understanding and building the skill, okay? Now, unfoldment. I'm going to go back and forth between these two so we can understand the differences. Unfoldment is internal, okay, where development is external. And when I say external, it's kind of like we're allowing other things to come into our perception, but it's more about like the environment, that kind of thing. Hopefully that makes sense. But unfoldment is internal, okay? So this is us working on ourselves. That's why this is an internal process. The external process is allowing spirits to come to us. The internal process is us working on ourselves to be able to be a calm pond. A calm pond is a very, like, we're allowing ourselves to be calm to receive spirit interaction. Spirit doesn't scare us. It doesn't freak us out. That's why development and unfoldment is important, because if you have one but not the other, you can be very unbalanced. You can be a very chill person. You can be a very kind and compassionate person, but you have to develop the spiritual abilities alongside understanding yourself. And so let's talk about this. So internal. Most of the work happens energetically on the inside of our mental world or the soul level. This is spiritual instead of mechanical, as this is about letting your guides help you develop. This is an internal process, our guides are attuning our energy and getting us used to communicating with the other side. Okay, so this right here. I'll go back to developments. We're talking about development again. Development is logical, okay? Without the logical part, developing would fall apart, simply because we need to structure our development. As humans, our minds work best with a structure of some kind when learning or developing a new skill, okay? So the example I have for this is going to be, imagine you want to be a painter. You want to do something creative, you want to paint or dance or whatever it is that you want to do. Just going out and doing it and feeling for it and doing all that, you can learn quite a bit. But when we have a teacher, right? When we have a teacher or a mentor, that person can teach us more. Hi, Jadzia. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. We are talking about mediumship development and unfoldment, basically how to develop as a medium. I'm also taking questions as well, but I'm just doing this for a little bit. But how are you doing, Jadzia? Okay. Need a little drink there. It's getting thirsty. Okay, so basically, we need to structure the mediumship. We need to structure it to learn. Like with any other ability in life, like I was saying, dancing, painting, or any creative endeavor, playing an instrument, doing whatever, it's important for us to have a structure at first, and then we can kind of go wild with it. But we have to have a structure at first, okay? So imagine we're learning how to paint, all right? We don't know that we need an easel. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So this is this will be for you. So I'll try and explain this as simply as I can, because it really isn't a complex subject, but movies and things have come out that have made mediumship this very mystical ability, and I do believe everyone has a capacity to learn it. So let's talk about it. So if I was starting out painting, okay, I would learn from a teacher that I need an easel. I would learn that I need a canvas. I would learn how to clean my brushes. I would learn how to do all that. So when we're talking about developing as a medium, we can go about this in a way where it's us developing by ourselves, and we can actually get quite a bit of a ways down that path. But when we have a teacher or someone who's been through it before, they can teach us the ins and outs a lot better. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about here. Okay. So then we're going to go back to this. So we have development being when we're putting forth effort towards something. So if you want to think of it like this, you have mediumship development, okay? And that's when we are going out and we are putting forth effort to achieve something. We're taking action to achieve something. And then we have mediumship unfoldment, okay? And this is where we're letting things come to us. We're letting our spirit guides work with us. We're letting ourselves be in that kind of situation where spirit is coming to us and they're working through us, okay? And some mediums have called these spirits that work with us when we're developing our mediumistic abilities, they have called them spirit chemists, because they work with our energy and they attune us to the spirit world and they help us to understand ourselves and our soul abilities, our soul powers better, or as I've talked about on this channel, our soul's way of expressing itself. Okay, so we're talking about the part where we're unfolding, and this is allowing things to happen for us naturally. So we don't necessarily have to try to do these things. They just sort of happen. We ask for help and we get the help. Okay, so unfoldment. This is a sacred thing for us as mediums. Our spirit team is meeting up with us and realizing we want to give ourselves into this process. Because of this, a lot of unfoldment feels much more effortless, okay? Because spirit is working with you more directly and usually with less resistance. Usually because you have decided you are ready for this and to take the proper steps to understand the spiritual nature of our reality. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is this: if we want to develop as a medium or as a psychic or any kind of spiritual abilities, we could be a healer, it doesn't matter. As long as we're allowing ourselves, we ask for help, we ask for guides, we ask for something to help us in that regard, we will get help. But we have to ask for it and we have to be genuine with how we're asking. Okay? Let's go back to unfoldment. Okay? So let's go back to development. Okay? Development is taught by teachers, by mentors. Okay? So it's basically a teacher or mentor of some kind helps this process. Hold on. Along by providing guidance and possibly classes. Whether these are online or physical, we can learn a lot. Okay? Then we have another one in the development part. Taking time. Development takes time. No other way to put it. It takes time. Trusting your guides takes time. Learning the ins and outs of spirit communication takes time. Be patient and kind with yourself always, but especially with development. Okay? So this means if we want to develop as mediums, if we want to be mediums, we want to be psychics, or we want to tune into that sense, the best way we can do it is to just be patient with ourselves, because we're not going to learn this overnight. It's something that we learn, and once we got it, we got it. But until that point happens, we need to be patient with ourselves and give ourselves just plenty of time, plenty of space to grow. Okay? So let's go back to unfoldment. Okay, again, this is where things happen for us more so. When we're unfolding, things are happening for us. When we're going through development, things are happening to us. It's like we're learning from a teacher. We're going through that. So we can kind of view it as external versus internal, right? Mediumship development is external. There can be a teacher or a mentor of some kind that's helping us along that road. But unfoldment is internal. Working through our cognitive biases, working through our own mental resistances, our own traumas, things like that. That is unfoldment, okay? So, this is a process that is much easier / harder than we usually think it to be. Why would I say it's harder? This process is about letting go and letting spirit work. Because of this, at least in my experience, it can be somewhat difficult to learn to let go and trust in our spirit guides and team members. This is something that with practice and dedication, we can learn to trust and let spirit in. But again, this is a process. We work with spirit as they work with us. If we put the time and effort in, they will as well. If we choose to walk away from our mediumship ability for a while, it will still be right there when we start back up again, kind of like riding a bike. Okay, this one is important. I've known a lot of mediums, famous or not, that have, I don't know them personally, I just know of them, that have had experiences where they wanted to give up doing mediumship. They wanted to stop doing it because there are times where it's very, very difficult and we walk away from our gift for a minute. When we do that, it's not taken away. It's not something that just leaves us and it's gone forever. It's something we can always come back to. And so there's no rush. It's kind of like spirit realizes that we need that break. We need some time. I feel like that's very important, that spirit realizes that. Okay. All right. So, so far with what we've been talking about, does anyone have any questions? If not, that's okay too. We can go on to the next slide here. Okay, Jadzia, what are the first signs of a medium? I mean, in which situation in life we have the first moment and we don't even know we have done it? Okay, so something that you would know if you were a medium, I feel like everyone has the ability to some extent. And if you're interested in developing mediumistic abilities, or if you're interested in being a medium, or you're interested in the psychic realm, odds are you have some talent with it. The universe wouldn't show you that you're interested in it without there being a reason why. There's a gift there. There's something kind of going on there. So that's the universe's way of showing us that you do have the ability. The first thing that would be when you're little, you're interested in spiritual concepts, possibly, right? Maybe it could be later on in life, but when we're younger, we tend to be more open. So spiritual concepts could be interesting to us. Buddhism, different religions, things like that. Those kinds of things could be interesting to us. Wanting to help people, wanting to be there for people, kind of going above and beyond to help people, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but that can also be a sign that we are spiritually minded as well. So if you have had moments or times in your life where those kinds of things add up, there could be something where you could feel like you have those kinds of abilities. Hopefully that makes sense. Did that answer your question, Jadzia? And good question, by the way. Hey there, this video just started playing after a tarot pick a card. I watched LOL. Hi, Kristen. How are you doing? I'm talking about developing as a medium and as a psychic, like what you can do to develop those abilities right now. It is. I pull cards too. I'm talking about mediumship development, but I can pull cards as well. I've got tons of them. Got tons of them coming up here. But got 3 different decks that we can use. I do, so if it's a general question, like that everyone can benefit from, Kristen, that won't cost any money. But if it's like a personal question, like, does so-and-so have feelings for me, or is this or this going on in my life, then those do cost money. So that's up to you on what you would want to do. But general questions where everyone could benefit from the answer, those don't cost anything. And so you let me know if you'd want to do that. So because of the way Google works, super chat and everything like that, I charge $3 more if you go through Google or go through super chat on YouTube. But if you want to do PayPal or Cashapp, it's $10 for a question instead of $13. So if that works for you, we can do that. I tend to be detailed and I tend to go into the nooks and crannies. So if that works, we can do that, okay? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay, let me do this so that you have it. And then also, I do the PayPal. 11/11. Oh, yep. It's 9/11 for me, but 11/11 for you. That's awesome. I love that. I love the synchronicities. So right here, it should come up. there's my Cash App and PayPal. My PayPal is chancemadsen1@gmail.com. And if for some reason I'm not able to give you an answer, for whatever reason, I'll just refund your money, okay? I can't do that if you super chat me. It's not something I can do. I just offer that as an option so that people can feel like they can trust this kind of process. But if you have this up here already, then I can put your name down on the list here when you've paid. So let me pull up the list. Okay, so let's do this. And Kristen, I'm actually really interested, okay, because I don't know if you can tell this or not. I have a lot of Virgo and Aquarius in my chart. I feel like I look like that. I feel like I have that look. So I'm actually curious, what video were you watching that recommended this one? I mean, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. That can be a personal question. But in an analytical sense, I'm just curious. Okay, gotta take another drink here. Okay. So while we're waiting here for just a second. Okay, so we have this right here. All right, so what would be, everyone, right? Okay, so it was a pick a card on what do people find irresistible about you. Just a little confidence booster. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. Oh, very cool. Awesome. I like that. I'm curious how YouTube pairs me up with other channels. That's neat, though. I like that. So right reasons and wrong reasons for being a medium. It was my first time watching her too, so just really cool I landed your live reading. That is cool. I like that. So I guess YouTube recommends videos. I don't know why I never thought my live videos were recommended from other people's static videos, you know, like if it was an uploaded video and not a live video. I'm just sounding weird now, but that's cool though. I appreciate you telling me that. That's awesome. Take one more drink here. So, the right reasons for developing as a medium versus the wrong reasons, okay? Now, when we're talking about right and wrong, I understand there can be some subjectivity, of course. Right and wrong is not written in stone. However, with mediumship ability, there tends to be some tenets, right? Okay. It's a French name. I'm thinking Lumiere, just Luz is what is her name. Not sure what her sign is. I think you might have said something about wanting to know. No, I did. I was very curious, so thank you very much for letting me know. YouTube will give me analytics on people that have clicked through from certain videos, but that gave me some really good insight, and I appreciate you saying that because I just find it interesting, the analytics, how YouTube works. Hold on.
Welcome to Lou's Lumiere channel, and I just want to say
Okay, let's do this here. Let me see what I can find. Okay, so what would be, like I've said here, what would be the right reasons for wanting to develop mediumship? Okay, what would be a reason for wanting to develop a mediumistic ability, or even wanting to develop psychic ability? What would be a good reason? Yeah, I'm happy to help. I know it's analytics, but for me, it's spirit guiding me to new readers. I'm about to PayPal you. No, you're fine. You're fine, Kristen. When whatever's meant to happen is going to happen, right? So you're fine. Do not worry about that. Um, and yes, it was a sign from spirit. I believe in that too. I do believe in that. I have a very analytical brain, but I do believe that there can be guides and signs and stuff like that. So I think that's cool. I know what you mean there. Um, okay, so I'll go on here. The right reasons for developing mediumship. Okay, being of service, right? That's a good reason to develop mediumship. Okay, a wrong reason for wanting to develop mediumship is to become famous. All right. There's nothing wrong with fame in itself if it happens in an organic way. Some mediums are famous. That's not to say that it's a bad thing, because it's not. But if your whole reason for wanting to develop mediumship is to bolster your own ego and to make it so that you feel like you're better than other people, don't go into mediumship. Do not develop as a medium. Not going to be, not the best kind of situation. I have known mediums that were not honorable people. I did not appreciate them as people, and that was unfortunate, right? But you can be a medium and still be kind of a not the nicest person. But it definitely helps if you are nice. It definitely helps. Okay, feeling called to be a medium or a psychic. Okay, we'll say spiritual worker. Okay, you can be a medium, a psychic, an energy healer, a dream analyzer, tarot reader. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Because spirituality and creativity, they go hand in hand. Okay. So feeling called is one of the right reasons. Fortune is not one of the right reasons. So fame and fortune, we kind of listed both of those. So wanting to make money, wanting to make a lot of money. Again, there is nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make money, wanting to make a living for yourself, but being greedy and really extorting people and making them feel like, like it's this huge deal that they get to book a reading with you and it costs $900 to $1,000. To me, that's very excessive. But I understand if you are a famous medium, you do have to set prices, and they can be expensive. But for kind of a ground rule here, if we're talking about a medium who is kind of on the medium level, and I know that's funny, they're not like super new at it, but they're not super necessarily super experienced or super well known. About $200 to $300 for an hour of mediumship seems to be the going rate. Again, some mediums, when they're more well known, $900 to $1,000 for an hour. But if they can actually bring through the evidence, it's going to be money that will be well spent, right? But it is kind of that situation where, I mean, that's a lot to put forward, but also the medium, if they're trained and they know what they're doing, they are definitely worth the money. But again, it kind of comes to that. Okay, right reason for developing mediumship. Prove survival of bodily death, all right? So that one's an interesting one. To prove survival of bodily death, an evidential medium, okay? And that's what I talk about on this channel. There's different kinds of mediums. Hi, Chantel, how are you doing? There's different kinds of mediums that exist, but the ones that I'm talking about, they're called evidential mediums. Those are going to be the ones that give us evidence, right? So a medium would be like, some mediums, it's like your mother was a woman and your father was a man. Okay, and I know we're in a different world now than that, so gender doesn't play as much of an issue. But what I'm saying is, some mediums, they state obvious facts and they say they're mediums. Okay, but they state really obvious things. It's not personal. It's very like they put your mom and dad in gender roles, or they put people in gender roles, and that's not mediumship. Okay, evidential mediumship is being able to bring through a personality of the spirit. That's being able to bring through the personality of the spirit that is passed on, or being able to bring through a physical trait or characteristic that may be unusual to other people, but to this person, that was how they were. Okay, for instance, right, I was doing a reading for someone, and it was my first ever like class. Not class. It was a mediumship kind of circle. People paid. I tried to do readings, and it was like I think there was 8 or 9 people there. And as I was doing the reading, I went to one person, and I said something along the lines of, "Your father had a truck. It was purple, and a purple colored truck. That's weird enough, right? But I kept getting that he kept repainting the truck over and over and over again. And he kept repainting it different colors of purple. I think there was some reds in there too, but he kept getting in accidents, and he kept having to repaint his truck over and over and over again. That's evidential, because that's pretty specific, right? Purple truck, weird enough, but having to repaint it over and over again. And that evidence was validated. That evidence was like, okay, the person though, even though I brought through that evidence, they did not, they weren't necessarily a believer of it. So that's another thing too, is that we want to attract the kind of people that will be able to kind of understand our gift, right? I welcome criticism. Criticism helps constructive criticism helps us grow. But when we're developing spiritual abilities, we can tend to be pretty sensitive about it. So anyway, so proof of survival of bodily death. Okay, so that's showing that spirit does live on, and there is a sense that there is no actual death. It's kind of like a transition. It's like a blink between being awake and asleep. Okay, that's kind of what death is. It's a transition. All right. So, a wrong reason for wanting to be a medium would be to have power over other people. Okay? So this one goes, I feel like this one goes without saying, but we do not want to be in a situation where a medium is making us feel like we are lesser than. When we are working with a real medium, we are working with someone who is really in the know when it comes to communicating with spirits, and it comes to bringing in that kind of vibration, which we'll talk about. We're talking about people that are very kind, and they're very gentle people. So they should, at every point and part of the mediumship process, when they are connecting with you, you should feel heard. You should feel that you're safe. You should feel like everything's going okay. Loved ones are not going to give us messages that are going to hurt us. Okay? If a medium is giving us messages and it's causing us pain and discomfort and it's making us hurt really bad, that's generally not the way to go. Generally, spirits come through, they offer love, and they impart wisdom onto the medium that the medium then shares. Okay? The medium is a vessel for the knowledge to come through. That's something that we have there. Oh, thank you, Kristen. And you gave me 1111, so that's awesome. That is awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So I'll put you on the list here. Okay. All right, so you're next up, Kristen. Thank you again for the donation. I really appreciate that, and that helps the channel a ton. All right, so okay. So let's move on here and let's talk about this. Okay, one of the right reasons to develop mediumship or psychic ability is to help comfort other people. It's comforting the bereaved, right? Comforting someone who has lost someone else. Being able to give them a sense of like, it's okay, they're still with us. Being able to give hope, being able to give a sense of closure. Sometimes spirits pass on, or sometimes people pass on, and there was not a sense of closure. There was not a sense of things feeling like they were okay. And mediums can help sort of bridge that connection, knowing that everything's okay. Having a father or a daughter or a loved one come through and say that they're okay and there's nothing to be sorry about and don't worry about it, but also bring evidence through before that part comes, that helps people so much. That helps people so much because they get to understand, they basically get to understand that there is something going on with this life. They get to understand that there is something beyond, something waiting for them after this life kind of closes out. And that can help people through the grieving process. That being said, I do feel that it's very important, if a loved one has passed on, if someone has passed, I feel like it's important to wait anywhere from at minimum 6 months, but at most, I feel like it's important to wait at least 6 months to a year and a half to 2 years before we see a medium. If a loved one has died, the reason why I give that kind of time frame is because it is important for the person that has lost the loved one to go through the grieving process. It's important for them to go through the grieving process. And if you see a medium too soon, what can happen is someone, I've heard of this happening a few times, someone will go to one medium and their loved one will come through, and then they'll go to another medium and their loved one will come through, and they keep chasing their loved one through these mediums. And I mean, it would be incredibly expensive, apart from the fact that they're running from the pain of grieving. Okay? When they're talking to a medium, their loved one seems alive. They seem like they're there. They're getting evidence that there's life beyond death. But it's important to wait, to have a grieving period, and then to focus on yourself, to focus on allowing yourself to grieve. Hopefully that makes sense. I do feel like it's too soon if someone has just passed. Okay? That to me is too soon, but it really depends on the situation as well. If you feel like you can do that, if you get a vibe for the person, you feel like that's something you could do, and it's a little bit earlier than 6 months, then I would say that's okay. But it's up to the person, okay? And I'm gonna come right back, you guys. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. All right, hold on 1 second, and I will be right back. So give me 1 second here. Let's do. Awesome, Kristen. Awesome. I can give you some more tips as well. I'm glad that you're liking the topic. I know for some people it can be kind of a boring topic, but it really isn't. I find it very fascinating, honestly. And I got your question and your money, so I'll go on just a little bit more, and then we'll go to your question, okay? I won't leave you high and dry. I'm going to do this here, though, so you can see a little bit more of me. No, let's see this. No, which one is it? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure this out. There it is. There we go. Okay. So, a medium, okay, like I said, there's one I can recommend, right? But there's actually a couple I could recommend. But the main thing when it comes to mediums is you want someone who's calm. You want someone who has possibly showed their kind of craft or their skill set, right? That's going to be something too. Primarily, though, you're looking for someone who, like I said, they're kind, they're compassionate, and they seem like someone who's easy to work with. They seem like someone who you just feel comfortable around. Okay, so that's going to be something you want to work for. Awesome, perfect. All right. So, another right reason for wanting to develop mediumship here. And what I'm doing is I made a class, okay, if you're wondering what I'm doing here. I made a class, and I'm reading the slides that I made for my class. I did some physical classes, and I made some slides. And I don't have a projector that I'm putting them up on. I feel like that would kind of be lost with this kind of video, so I'm just reading what I've got written here. Okay, so, reasons for wanting to be a medium, okay? Right reason, love, and compassion. If a medium instills that sense of love and compassion, that's going to be very important. Another good aspect to have with a medium is you want someone who seems curious. You want someone who has a dynamicness about them. Curiosity, in this case, it does not kill the cat, okay? It makes a very good meowdium. Right, meow, medium, anyway. It makes a good medium if they are curious, if they are intrigued by what's going on, and that also makes it so spirit can talk to them easier. Curiosity, okay, when we're talking about mediumship and connecting to spirits that have passed on, love, appreciation, gratitude, and being humble, those things put up kind of the power, the situation where spirits can connect with the medium. Okay, curiosity is like a sister emotion to love. And when I say a sister emotion, I mean that it's very similar. When we love something, we want to know as much as we can. We want to appreciate it. We want to understand it. And when we're curious, that's the same kind of situation. We want to understand it. We want to appreciate it. We want to know what's going on. What are the workings of it? So curiosity, when it comes to being a medium or having a sense of wanting to discover things, that's a really good trait to find when we're looking for a medium, okay? All right, so a wrong reason for wanting to be a medium. To feel important. Hey, buddy. That's the cat. Okay, if you guys didn't know. But so one of the wrong reasons is if the medium feels, again, like they're above other people, that's the wrong reason to want to be a medium. Not a lot. Some mediums have a chip on their shoulder, and when they go into doing this kind of work, they bring that with them. And when I'm talking about a chip on their shoulder, I'm talking about mediums who feel like the world owes them something, or they feel like they can be any way they want and there's no repercussions because they've experienced trauma when they were younger, they had things happen, and they've become kind of bitter with this process. Those kinds of mediums, those aren't the ones we want to work with, okay? All right. Right reasons, basically just to help others. That's a right reason for wanting to be a medium. And a wrong reason is basically anything that we talked about, or any kind of selfish reason, okay? So if you're doing mediumship to try and impress people, you're doing it wrong. You don't want to just impress people. It does happen. It does happen where people are impressed by mediumship and your abilities, but primarily speaking, you don't want that to be the reason why they're coming to you, is so you can impress them. That becomes focused on you instead of focused on the client, the person that's sitting with you. So that's going to be important when we're talking about this. Okay, hey buddy. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the cat here. He likes to scream. Okay, cool. Come here. All right, sorry about that. He's yeah, he likes to scream sometimes. My little cat named Yoshi. He's a good boy. A little loud though. Okay. Hey Jason, what's going on? Nitrous, is that right? What's this? Okay, everything is against me and everyone hates me. I'm trying to rekindle a relationship and everyone's in the... I'm sorry to hear that's happening, Jason. When we're talking about rekindling a relationship, so this was a relationship you had previously? It's your soulmate you're trying to get back? Okay. And what happened? Everyone's blocking me. Okay. What happened before? Basically, what happened with what this person that you feel is your soulmate? What happened with that beforehand? Because you said you're trying to rekindle it, so what happened before the rekindling, so to speak? Okay. Okay. That sounds like a difficult situation no matter how you slice it there. I'm wondering, is there something going on where, so are both of you out of jail now? And Kristen, we'll get to you. I'm just seeing what's going on here, but we will definitely get to you as well. I'm just curious with this situation because you said you had to go to jail and so did she. So I would imagine when that happened, there would probably be a bit of a falling out, right? There would be a bit of a time where you guys didn't see each other for I don't know how long. But in any case, that does sound like a difficult situation. And in my opinion, Jason, so generally speaking, I feel like we don't just have I feel like there's multiple kind of soulmates or people that can be in our lives, and sometimes the door closes on one thing and maybe something else can come along. If it feels like nothing's working in those regards, um, it might be best to kind of give it some space, give it some more space, and maybe come back at a later time. She was posting awful pics of her looking beaten up and enjoying it, and I snapped. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Okay, the pics are the new fake. Okay, so like Instagram or Snapchat. Okay, okay. All right. Okay, okay. So you weren't aware of the situation. You understood it later on. Okay, I can understand that. Um, right, you didn't know. Okay, okay. So for everyone to be and you had a moment, you didn't know what was going on. I understand that you snapped, right? That could be a situation. And everyone's and certain events can be taken out of context, so I can understand if that's the situation there. Um I feel like honestly, Jason, and it could just be the way that this kind of shaped out, right? The best thing to do in this situation, and in my opinion, right? Because I'm not like licensed. I don't have anything like that. But what I feel like would be the best thing is, and I don't know how long ago this happened. I don't know how long ago this happened, but I feel like the best thing would be to give it some time and give it some space, because the harder at this point in time, the harder we try and push and say we're not this way or we're not that way. Right, right. Um, but if they're pushing hard and trying to see if you're this way or that way, I feel like the best thing to do is to just back off at this point in time, because it sounds like they're not wanting to hear your side of the story anyway. And I feel like if you try to present your side of the story, they're not going to listen, right? And sometimes when this kind of thing happens, we're desperate for other people to understand what we're trying to say, but that desperation can come across as even more kind of incriminating in a way. I know that's not probably what you want to hear, but I would say the best thing to do would be to give it some space for a second, right? Because that to me, and I understand it's a situation, and that's not a that's a pretty shitty situation, but you know, that's what I would say. That's what I would do. And again, probably not what you're wanting to hear, but if she is a soulmate for you, if she is that for you, then in some way, shape, or form, you guys can meet up again. Okay. Yeah, that's what I've done. They are trolling. They get upset if I don't react with rage. Okay, so it sounds to me, Jason, these other people, they sound pretty toxic, honestly. Um, they don't they don't sound like good people from what I'm hearing. If they want you to be this way and they want to see you that way, the best thing to do would be to not react. If they're blocking you or if something's going on in that way, in my opinion, I think I mean, I guess what I'm saying is they don't want me with her. That's what it is. And I can understand that too. I can understand that too. They could be protecting her. There could be something along those lines. And like I'm saying right here, I feel like the best thing, they know we love each other. Okay? And if that's the case, Jason, I'll just say this right here, okay? If that's the case, if you guys do love each other and if you are meant to be together, something can happen that will break this. But at this point in time, it sounds to me like it's going to be a bit of a process, right? And that's not fun. I understand that. That's not a good kind of situation to be in. Yeah, Jason, and you know, I don't get the vibe with you that you're I don't get the vibe with you that you're this, what would be the word? Like a rageaholic, or you're this crazy person. There's a part of you that's misunderstood. You want people to see that that's not who you really are. But if we take a step back, that speaks more volumes than if we keep trying to press the issue, right? I know more time alone. I failed again. No, you didn't fail, Jason. We're just learning different ways. We're learning different ways to do this. You didn't fail though, okay? I don't want you to think you failed. We're just gonna try some different stuff out. And Hope, thank you for the sub and thank you for the like. Um, so yeah, just give it time. Give the situation space, because that's gonna, the more time and the more space you give, that gives more of a situation where you're not a rageful person, you're not being controlling. I'm not saying you were, but I'm saying it separates you from the craziness that they think you are. It further separates things because you're backing off and they'll be like, oh, okay. And if it's meant to be, things will kind of realign in that way. Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope that helps, Jason. I do hope that helps you in that situation. Um, just realize, like I said, you're not failing. You are not failing. Is on this campaign. And if that's how they want to be, Jason, then the best thing you can do is to not give them that. Right? If they're thinking you're this way or you're that way, we can do very little to change someone's opinion of us, right? He was trying to tell me that she never liked me at all. And then, yeah, see, so there's a situation there. If someone's trying to get you riled up, someone's trying to get a reaction, best thing we can do is to step away. And I know that's difficult too. I know that being misunderstood is one of those things in human nature. It stinks. But the best thing we can do is to just kind of, at this point in time, whatever people want to think about you, right? It was a stalking campaign and they called me the stalker because I was being stalked. They called me the stalker. Okay, and I'm sorry. I've had people come on here before and there's been similar stories. There you go. Take a step back, and if things are meant to align, they will. But I just understand that it's a hard situation. If people want to see you a certain way, they'll try and do anything they can to see you that way. The important thing is, though, Jason, that you don't become the person that they want you to be. Okay, that's going to make you into this person if you listen to them and if you go with that. But I feel like you got this. Just give yourself some time and some space. Be gentle with yourself in this process. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just things take time. Things happen, and I just want you to realize this to me was kind of out of your control in certain instances, right? So things can die down, things can settle, and then you can go from there. Say they want to see me happy, so I need to stay away from her. Yeah, give it some time, give them some space. Don't become the person they want you to be, or the crazy person that they would want you to be. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Because of the fake pics, of course. You're welcome, Jason. Okay. So, let's do this here. All right, Kristen. I'm going to move on to... So, Kristen, you're wondering about the energy between... Well, I'll just do the reading here. So let's shuffle some cards. Okay. So I'm going to be using this deck here. And, well, actually, I'll use the other deck because it's easier to see. Okay. You'll notice behind me, I'm not really here. Okay. This is a green screen situation. Some of my cards do not work the way they should. For instance, basically, these are green right here. Okay, I will let you know, Kristen. Absolutely. So I can use some of these cards, but primarily, if they look a little funny, that's why, is because I'm using a green screen behind me and all green colors are kind of canceled out. So I'm going to shuffle these cards and let's see what we get for you, Kristen, okay? Okay, all right, so Hope, if you would want... Awesome. Okay, Kristen, we'll get to you. You're my next reading. So Hope, if you would want, I can. So here's what I do, Hope. We can either do, because Kristen is in line here, we can either do $10 through Cashapp or PayPal, and we can look at the situation, or we can do $13 through Super Chat because YouTube takes 30%. So if that's something you feel like you could do, then we could look into it. I'm not a doctor, so I won't be able to tell you, I won't be able to give you medical advice, but I might be able to give you some information. So if you want to do that, we can move forward with that. If not, I completely understand. I'm just letting you know kind of how I work. So, Jazdia, right, when a medium channels, and I'm going to shuffle these cards here. You're very welcome, Hope. You are very, very welcome. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle these for Kristen. and I'll just talk about this, Jazdia, because the way you said that, that's an interesting topic. So that's actually what I was going to talk about on my next slide, the different kinds of mediumship. So you have channeling, right, or trance mediumship. And when there's trance mediumship, people can. Hi there, Mahima Pandey. Hopefully I said that right. When a medium is in a trance, they can bring through attributes and different kinds of qualities that they normally wouldn't have. There was one medium who didn't know how to speak any other language. He just knew how to speak English. But when he would go into a trance, he would speak perfect Cantonese. I mean, perfectly. And he was able to channel a spirit, his guide, that spoke Cantonese as his primary language. And he was able to talk to a person in his audience by doing that. And then the spirit guide was able to communicate through there. So different languages can come through, different emotions can come through. Generally, though, it should be more calm, usually. I mean, there's some instances where spirits have something to say and they make a point of saying it in a certain way, but it should usually be a little more calm. But let's look at this here. So hold on one second here. And this is for Kristen. So let's look at the energies here. Mahima, I charge for my readings, and so if you want to pay, we can do that. But I also don't like it when someone just asks a question. You know, you can say hello. I mean, you did say hello, but ask me, you know, what's going on. Do it that way. And then, yeah, anyway. I do charge for my readings. I don't do free readings, Mahima. All right, so Kristen, let's see what we get here. All right. That's funny. That is funny. So what I heard in my head was like swan or swan song, right? Was the first thing, and the card that came out was Father of Cups in reverse, which is a swan in reverse. So I'm wondering, Kristen, is this person... I mean, you messaged me, you gave me the message in PayPal. I don't know if you want me to say what the message was or elaborate on that. But I feel like this person that we're talking about here, there's something going on emotionally where there's been something closed off or something has happened. Father of Cups, I feel like in reverse is like something, I feel like something's happened here. There could be an argument or something could have happened or maybe disagreement, but something's telling me he's withholding emotion, or we're not getting the whole story kind of a situation. But you can tell me if that's kind of the scenario there. Are you still there, Kristen? Okay. Okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense why there's a lone swan, and this is in reverse, because when I heard swan, I heard swan song. So to me, when I see the one swan, it feels like this person doesn't have the capacity to sort of be in that kind of relationship. I feel like they want to have that, possibly, but something tells me this person is in that way of like blocking things off for themselves. So I feel like this person, I'm saying this person, I'm not revealing the name. I feel like this person is so there can be that situation, but let's look a little more. I'll get some other cards here. But I do feel like there is some definite closed offness, right? And there's only so much you can do on your end because a relationship is between two people. So there's only so much you can do on your end to try to make this right. And obviously you're coming here and you're wondering what happened. So I don't want you to think that you did anything wrong, Kristen. I'm not getting that vibe. When I see this card right here, this is closed off male energy. There could have been intimacy, there could have been things like that going on, but there could also be a part of this person that we didn't necessarily know, right? And so, but let's look at some of this here. So why are we getting the Father of Cups in reverse? I told his ass I wasn't ready for it either, lol. That's why I don't get why he ran, because he knows I'm not ready for a relationship. Let's see here. It's kind of funny how that works. You're not ready for a relationship, and then he runs off, and then it's like he's being avoidant on a whole other level, it sounds like, because it doesn't sound to me like you were asking for too much, right? It sounds to me like you were saying, okay, let's see where this goes. Let's kind of see what happens. And then he said, okay, and then he left. Right, do you see what I'm saying there? I think you do. Let's do a couple more shuffles here. So why is the Father of Cups in reverse? Father of Cups. Okay, so I'll tell you, this is the process. This is the thought process. Father of Cups in reverse, closed off emotional male energy. Okay, Son of Swords right here. The reason why there's this closed off emotional energy is because all he does is think. If this guy could think his way out of emotions, trust me, he'll try and do it. Or there's some sort of escaping mechanism that this person uses to not have to deal with things. The Son of Swords is the Knight of Swords in any other tarot deck, okay? The Knight of Swords can be prone to extreme ways of thinking. And when we're talking about this, we're talking about someone who would choose logic over emotion, not realizing that both of them can play together. That's what I'm feeling here. So what I feel like happened, and then I heard the word, so this is interesting. I heard the word separation anxiety, which is an interesting term for this. So there could have been an issue where this person had someone leave in their early life. So there could have been a mother or a father that left them at some point in time. I feel like there's some trauma around this. And Kristen, when I say that, it doesn't mean that you need to fix it or even feel bad for him, because he needs to work on his own shit, so to speak, right? But that's what I'm feeling, separation anxiety, or the thought of something along those lines. But it does feel like it goes back to a childhood cause, right? And in your relationship, the way you were with this person, I feel like you were, and you didn't, and when I say this, I'm not saying it like it's an insult, because I don't mean it that way. I'm using it from his perspective. I feel like you were too real. You were too real, you were too tangible for this person, and that scared him. Right, he said he was still healing from his past. Okay, so like I said, I feel like you were too real of an option. You were too real, you were right there. Things were moving along, and he didn't know how to go further. He did not know how to go further with that kind of information. And it kind of goes into this situation. Hi, Isaiah. So I don't do any free readings. I charge $13 through Super Chat or $10 through PayPal or through Cashapp. So that's what we're doing here. He kind of said that. Okay. So this is an interesting part. This is interesting right here. He's scared of where it would go. Okay. So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense too. And if we look at this card too, you'll see that it's a bird holding a sword. Okay. It's kind of like flying away. It's going where it needs to go. That's kind of how I view this person. It's very scattered kind of energy. And if you want to think of it like this, Kristen, and again, this is his stuff that he's dealing with. You have no responsibility or anything to fix this. No, I'm not saying you think that, but some people come on here and they feel like they have to fix this person. No, you don't. Okay, we have to fix ourselves so that we don't keep attracting people that treat us like we're disposable. But we don't need to fix the other person. That's not our responsibility. Okay. Okay, separation anxiety, swords, feeling like it was too real, not knowing where to go. And so, yeah, that's what I'm feeling primarily. And then I'm seeing this person, I feel like even if this person did stay around and you guys were still talking, there's a part that this person hasn't showed you. Perfect. Okay, see, Kristen, that's perfect. That's what I want to say on this channel, because a lot of people come on here, they want to fix somebody. No, you can fix you. That's it. That is the only thing you can fix. Okay, so let's draw another card here. Okay, so from this situation, Kristen, I feel like the outcome for you, right? This isn't necessarily about his energy anymore, but it's about your kind of energy. I get the 9 of Cups, okay? That's a good card. 9 of Cups is one of the best cards. It's like an emotional healing card. So when he did what he did, right? When he left, when he kind of left without saying anything, that put you in a situation where I feel like that could have been triggering some sort of trauma maybe you went through. Because when he left or he ghosted and he did that, that could have triggered something in you where that made you feel like, what happened, right? And when there's nothing going on, there's no response, there's like just radio silence, that leaves you wondering. That leaves you kind of in a state of like, okay, what did I do wrong? Okay? And the main thing you can take away from this is some men are still little boys, but they will convince you that they are men. They'll do their best to convince you that they are men, but they are still hurt little boys, and they have not healed any of their emotional wounds, because a lot of men refuse to even acknowledge that there is an emotional world within them. They think emotions are for women. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and I believed that for a time. I honestly believed that until like 5 years ago. When I started becoming more emotional, I started becoming more open. And it's a sad fact of society for America. Anyway, I don't know if you're in the UK too, but I would assume it's similar, that toxic masculinity kind of reigns supreme. Does that make sense, Kristen? I feel like, Kristen, you have a lot to give. You have a lot of love to give. You have a lot of this beautiful kind of energy to give. Right? Hey, Corn Pop in Sydney. Welcome to the channel. If you guys have a question, you can see how I'm working with Kristen here. But I do charge, it's either $13 through Super Chat or $10 through PayPal or Cash App. So if you guys do have a question that way, I do charge for those. If it's a general question that everyone can benefit from and not a personal question, those are free to ask. But the general, the general questions. We all have emotion. It's meant to be felt whenever you're male or female. We have emotion for a reason. I see what you mean, though. He's still emotionally immature. Exactly. And things can happen, right, Kristen, where men and women can be attracted to these kinds of people until we learn the signs and the things to look for, right? And so we can almost view this kind of situation as a learning experience because you didn't do anything wrong. So the other way we can view it as a learning experience, and then we can know what to look out for and kind of what to focus on. Okay, but that's kind of the name of the game. And healing is a huge part of it. Absolutely, healing is a huge part of it. And for you, like I said, I feel like you have a lot of love to give. I feel that, right. It does. It shows things we need to heal within ourselves. And the thing I want us to focus on when I'm talking about this is that it's not about blame. It's not about guilt. It's not about saying, oh, I was stupid for doing that. No, you weren't stupid. We just didn't know until we know now, right? When we know better, we do better. And the only way we can do this is to, yes, focus more on yourself. Focus that love energy towards yourself. Because that's one person we can rely on. If we can rely on ourselves, then we can have other things come up too. Hey, Sydney, I see what you did there. A general Sag love reading. I mean a general question like, how do you develop psychic ability, or do you believe in ghosts, or that's what I mean by a general question. Because a general Sag love reading would benefit you, and it would benefit a few other people, but I see what you did there. I do see what you did there. But yeah, it's about learning, and it's about learning with ourselves. Hi, Zyriel Anderson. No, I do charge for my questions $13 through Super Chat or $10 through Cashapp or PayPal. I do have this right here. If you guys are interested, you can donate. I spend quality time on the questions. I make sure you guys get answers. But yeah, there it is up there. You're very welcome, Kristen. Very, very welcome, my friend. But Sydney, that was good. That was pretty good, honestly. I don't mind that. A little bit of kidding around, right? That was pretty good. I've never seen anyone do that before with me saying the general question, then you bringing that up. That was smooth. That was smooth. But so until we get another person paying for a reading, Kristen, do you still want to know about mediums? I can still read a little bit more, and anyone else listening too can get in on this if they want. That's the main thing. Is I teach mediumship development, psychic development, energy healing, stuff like that. I can also do those things to an extent. More of the energy healing and the psychic part I'm learning with the mediumship. But I can read a little bit more here, because we were going to get on to the different types of mediumship. Okay. Okay, so we're talking about mediumship, we're talking about psychics, tarot readers, any of this kind of stuff. If you guys are interested in developing, take this as a free class, okay? You guys don't need to pay anything for this. I mean, if you want to, go for it. I wouldn't be opposed. But, okay, tell you more. All right. So, we're moving on to types of mediumship. All right, so anyone else that's out there, I'm going to go use the little boy's room. I'm going to go make a potty. So, if anyone out there would want to tell me what the different types. Actually, let me ask you this because everyone else here is new. So, what do you guys think about mediumship? Do you feel like only a select amount of people have it, like you're born with this kind of gift to see spirits, to talk to the dead? Or do you feel that it's something that can be developed like a skill? Okay, you guys think about that. Like I said, I gotta go do things, and then I will be right back. Okay, so you guys take care, and I'll be right back. Okay, so Sydney says, let's see. Let's have that camera focus. Come on. All right. Okay, Sydney says, I think that everyone is born with it. It just varies on how much you're actually given this lifetime. I feel people can work on cultivating that skill if they work hard enough. Really good answer. Honestly, that's a perfect answer. Now, again, when I say that's a perfect answer, from my experience, from my perception, that seems like a good answer. But a lot of this stuff, I'm trying to get the camera to focus. That's why I'm doing that. So there we go. A lot of this stuff is kind of subjective, right? Spiritual ability, I believe it's real, but it's very subjective. I call it a soul expression, is what I label mediumship ability, the different kind of clairs that we can have. Different mediums, when they have fully realized themselves, they express themselves differently than other mediums, okay? They may have similarities between them, but each one is kind of like a fingerprint on how they pick up information. One medium, you can have a group of mediums, and sometimes a spirit will come through and only one medium is able to get that spirit. The other mediums are not on the same wavelength. There's just differences, right? Okay. All right, so with that being said, there's different levels or different types of mediumship. Okay, so we have evidential mediumship, which is the one we were talking about earlier. So evidential, well, I'll read here what it says. This was a class I made. Typed it out, made like little slides and stuff. So evidential mediumship is the ability to hold a connection with spirit and relay information that the client or sitter or group can verify in some way. So when I say sitter or group of people, sometimes when we're doing mediumship readings, we're not reading for one person, we're reading for a group. And sometimes it can be a pretty large group. So that's why we're talking about it that way. Sometimes it's a family event. Sometimes it's a bunch of people that don't necessarily know each other. But some people in that group can verify that evidence, okay? Evidence for mediumship looks something like this, okay? Memories that were a shared experience, okay? That's a mediumship, that's a spirit communication, that's evidential. A name of a place or person or the spirit's personality, that's also another form of evidence that we're talking about when we're talking about developing mediumship abilities, okay? Maybe the spirit was unique in their sense of style, or maybe they liked dirty jokes. Okay, our jobs as mediums is to provide evidence and compassion for both the spirit and the sitter. The sitter is the person receiving the reading. That's what I was trying to clarify there. So, yeah, if there's any questions, Sydney, or anyone else that's watching, if you have any questions on the material that I'm reading, or about psychics, or about mediums, or just spiritual ability, please feel free to ask those questions, okay? So then we have, so evidential mediumship, I feel like falls into this category. Evidential mediumship can be any of these, except for one of them, which I'll explain. Okay, so mental mediumship is the mediumship that we're talking about here. So mental mediumship is a how do you express your psychic ability? Okay. So me personally, when I get psychic impressions, it's claircognizant, sometimes it's clairvoyant. When I was doing Kristen's reading, I saw this, I didn't say it out loud, I probably should, but I saw the swan before the swan card came out, and I saw a singular swan, and then I saw the swan for Kristen. And then I felt like I saw an owl, and then the next card was an owl. So for me, it's like claircognizant, which means I just know, which that doesn't sound like it's very helpful, but it's kind of like something comes into your head and you just know it to be the truth. You just know it 100%, absolutely. You know that it's true. And so you say the information. And when you have those strong feelings, generally they're right. Generally there's something there. Um, and then we have clairvoyant, which is seeing something. They call it the third eye, right? But you just kind of, you can close your eyes and see something, or sometimes you can have your eyes open and you can see something. It's like a flash of something, and then you can give that interpretation or that impression to someone. Generally speaking, psychic ability works through a symbolic language that's unique to each. It's unique to each person that's expressing that psychic ability. There's other clairs as well. You have claircognizance, which is clear knowing. Okay, clairvoyance, which is clear seeing. Clairaudience, which is clear hearing. And then you have clairtangency, which is clear, like touching things. And then you have clairaugustance, which is smell. And you have clair is it clairalience, that is taste? I think it might be clairalience, that is taste. I can't remember exactly. I do have it listed somewhere in here what the clairs are, but those are different ways you express these abilities, and then you can develop these as time goes on by allowing yourself to be allowing yourself to be in the present moment as much as possible is going to help increase our psychic ability. But two, asking for our spirit guides to just come closer so that we can feel their presence is going to start us on that spiritual journey. That's going to start us on that kind of mediumistic journey that I'm talking about. So that's one way, or a few ways, I guess, that psychic ability can come through. You can start with one clair ability, and then once you feel like you have a handle on that one clair ability, then you can develop your weaker clairs. But generally speaking, people have a dominant clair that they're more aligned or more attuned with, and then they can work on their lesser clairs as time goes on, because eventually you want to be able to give messages from all your senses. Because if you're blocking off a certain frequency that spirit wants to speak through because you haven't developed that channel of communication yet, you're missing information. So it's important for us to, you're possibly missing information. So it's important for us to focus on developing ourselves in a whole and complete way that encompasses all of these psychic and mediumistic abilities. Does that make sense, Sydney? Perfect. Perfect. Okay. All right. So mental mediumship is one of the forms of mediumship. So mental mediumship. Oh, go for it, please, if you have another question. Okay. Okay. Thank you for saying that. All right. So we have here mental mediumship. So mental mediumship is a subjective experience. Whatever the medium is experiencing is going on only around them. Usually, okay. Some mediums can sync up, but it's generally pretty uncommon. They provide the link to the spirit world. No one else can hear or see the same imagery or sounds that the mental medium is picking up unless they themselves are a medium, and again, they're on that same frequency. Having mediums that work like that, it is very rare. It does happen from time to time, but generally speaking, usually a medium picks up on something, and even if there is another medium that is practicing, they probably won't see the same thing or hear necessarily the same things. Okay, so, and mental mediumship is a form of evidential mediumship. It can be a form of evidential mediumship. That's what I have done in the past is evidential mental mediumship. I haven't developed the deepening skills of the mediumship skill set yet, and I don't know if I ever will, right? Yeah, I think it's interesting. I find it fascinating, but depending on kind of different things in life, you may want to develop it further, or you may want to just stay a mental medium. There's no harm in either one of them, right? Because these other forms of mediumship are more involved, I guess would be the word. And they take time. They take time to develop. And mental mediumship does too, but these ones take an even deeper amount of time. So yeah. All right. So trance mediumship, okay? Trance mediumship is a bit different in its approach. In trance mediumship, the medium puts themselves in a trance-like state, hence the name. When they are in this trance-like state, they are no longer giving messages from themselves. They allow spirit to come in directly to speak. In trance mediumship, when the active conscious mind has left the medium for a bit of time and the spirit comes in, some great evidential messages can come through. For this state of mediumship, trust needs to be very much established, and learning to let go of control is a must. Okay? So you are not conscious when you're in a full trance. The medium is not conscious. The spirit has kind of stepped in, and there's messages that are given. Okay? It's not like a Hollywood movie or anything like that. How do you know whether or not your intuition is right? Also, do you need to get balanced and within your stuff to actually receive messages? Does that make sense? Yeah, so the way I would describe it is kind of like this. Psychic ability is a lot like a pond, okay? If you imagine pond being your emotional kind of well-being, let's see. And within yourself to actually receive messages. Self, you meant to say. Okay, I hear you on that. Self, all right. Within your stuff or self, I mean, either one, I can kind of see what you were saying there. So, all right, so the best way I can describe it is this. Like I was talking about, we have a pond, okay? This pond is very clear, and it's very easy to see into when we are calm. When we are calm and we know ourselves, and we know our traumas, our biases, we know how we are as people on a deep level, and we've started the healing journey to understand ourselves even more and to let go of some of that pain, that's going to help us be an even better medium or psychic. It's not necessarily a must-have per se, but it will make your reading so much better. But you don't have to have everything healed before you start the journey. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it helps to understand ourselves to an extent before we kind of step into this realm. So how would you know if you're right? This is the part that takes practice, okay? The best kind of advice I can give is that if you want to develop your mediumship, you want to develop these abilities, there's Facebook groups that literally that's all they do, is they'll meet once a week, and you can sign up to a few of these classes. Generally, they're free. Some of them cost like $5 or $10 to attend, but it's like an hour to 2 hours, and you do mediumship exercises, and you try to tune into other people's loved ones that have passed on, and then they'll tell you at the end if you're right or you know what's going on there, and then you can ask the teacher questions. Oh, thank you for the subscription, Sydney. But how you'll know you're right is when we learn to trust the process, and the only way we learn to trust the process is, and I know this sounds backwards, right? The only way we learn to trust that process is sometimes we're wrong, and then we learn over time what it was we were getting wrong, and then we'll learn over time what it is that we're getting right. There's like a feeling that comes with it, but the only way we can really get that feeling and understand that feeling is to practice. Otherwise, we're kind of just sitting in the dark thinking, why did I get that wrong? What happened? it's important for us to keep practicing and keep expressing our ability. It's kind of like, it's a lot like riding a bike, you know? You don't get it until you do, and then you have it. And so when we're talking about mediumship and developing it and talking to spirits, that's what we're talking about, is just developing that sense of being able to do that. But I mean, if you're a student of mediumship and you're doing these classes and you're working with people, that's actually the best time to be told, no, that's not right. It hurts the ego for a second, like, and it can hurt. It can hurt. I've had a lot of no's. I have had a lot of no's in my day. But if anything, each no brings you a little bit closer to understanding the gift a little bit better. So no is actually a gift in itself, because when we hear no, we can grow from that perception of no. We can just be like, okay, that's not the end of the world. I'll keep trying. And if we keep getting it wrong, we can try the connection again, right? But we can have time to practice. We can have time to take our time to practice, to get things going. It doesn't have to be this thing where it's like, hurry up and do it. If you're a professional medium, that is kind of expected of you, you know, hurry up and give messages, being able to connect pretty quickly. But when you're first starting out, set the expectations very low and let surprise yourself. Set your expectations very low, and you would be surprised at the information that can come through from people that have never had experiences before. You'll get some things right, you'll get some things wrong, but eventually you can start getting more and more things right because you can start to trust the process of connecting and what that means. Hopefully that makes sense, Sydney. But look for mediumship groups on Facebook. Those will help guide you towards different things. And like I said, they're generally free classes, or they're like $5 to $10 for a class. And you're working with other people, and yeah, you can just try it out and see, because that's the only way you're going to know if what you're getting is right or if it's wrong, because you'll start to have a sense, you'll start to be able to feel it. You'll start to be able to be like, and yeah, so it just takes time. It just takes practice. Okay. Does that help answer the question? Hopefully that does. You're very welcome. Very, very welcome. Okay, so generally speaking, I kind of want you to think of it like this. So you're talking, Sydney, and this right here is mediumship development. Also, thank you for putting out the Facebook classes. That will really help me. Perfect. Awesome. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to help. Now, when we're talking about, there's mediumship development, okay? Then there's psychic development. And sometimes it's easier, in my opinion, if we start with psychic development first. Same thing that I just told you. But with psychic development, we're starting out kind of with the knowledge of, we're not connecting with spirit. What we're doing is we're able to connect to information that's kind of static or still. We're able to connect with still information. And what I mean by that is this. Psychic ability, I want you to imagine a photograph, like you're holding a photograph, okay? Psychic ability is the background of that photograph. You're reading the information of the background, you're seeing that information, but it doesn't change. It's just the background, it's just the scenery, it always is what it is. So with psychic ability, you're reading the history of the person in front of you, or you're reading different things that the person has gone through that's right in front of you, that's alive. You're reading that kind of stuff, okay? So it's from the person that you're connecting with psychically. Mediumistic information comes from a spirit. And generally that feels completely different, because when we're talking about getting information from a spirit, your body will react in some way. For me, I get tingles top of my head down to about right here on my arms. My hair stands up and I get tingles, and I can start to feel there's a presence around me. And that takes time too. But when we're talking about psychic information, generally you don't get the chills or the tingles. It just comes in kind of quickly. And we just, again, we have the clair abilities. The psychic information comes through as well. But mediumship ability is much more dynamic. You're bringing through personality of loved ones who have passed on and evidential information. Psychic ability, you're bringing through evidential information, but it's from the person's past. It doesn't involve a spirit. It's the person that's in front of you that's alive. Some people don't like to talk about the separation between the two. I feel like it's important because we can develop psychically. And then if we develop psychically, we develop mediumistically, we have a full foundation of how to talk to spirits and how to work with people. Because sometimes when we're working with a client, when we're talking about mediumship, that takes what's called power. Okay, and I'll discuss that here in a second, but mediumship takes what's called sitting in the power. It takes power to use. And psychic ability generally does not take power to use. When I'm talking about power, I'm talking about your connection or your spiritual energy reaching a certain point and then being able to stay there. It's kind of like a spiritual stamina, if you will, and you create a connection. And when you're creating that connection, it's like a beam of light that's shooting up, and spirit can touch that light, and through them touching that light, information comes down into you, and you can get that information and give it to the person who's sitting in front of you. But you have to be able to raise your vibration and keep it there. And that takes practice too. That takes a lot of practice to get those abilities up and ready to go. But psychic, you can look up Facebook groups for psychic development as well. And you could even do the two concurrently. You could do a psychic class on Monday, and then you could do a medium class for beginners on, Wednesday, right? And you could just focus on building both of these up. So hopefully that gives you even more information. Then we have healing mediumship. Okay, so healing mediumship, and I personally feel like all mediumship is healing. I feel like all mediumship has the potential to help heal people, because when you have, and psychic ability too, when you have observed someone else's pain, and when you have validated that there's life after death, or you have just seen that person's story, you've seen it, you've experienced it, you've felt it, I feel like that helps people so much. That helps people to understand themselves better, and that helps people to understand they're not alone, there's life after death, things like that. So this can help people tremendously. And the healing benefits, honestly, just imagine if you had a reading and you found out that someone came through that you really loved and you thought they were gone forever. Imagine that kind of situation and the tears and the relief that it would bring in knowing that there is life after death. Okay? Death is just a transition, not the end. Healing mediumship. Okay, this is a type of mediumship where we allow spirits to work through us to help provide healing for those in need. Primarily, these healing spirits could have been doctors or possibly healers in their lives. These are individuals that can help with all sorts of ailments. However, it is important to note that we should never diagnose anybody for any reason unless we are a doctor. We can help people, sure, but please leave the diagnosing to health professionals. That's another thing too. Don't diagnose anyone with anything. That will come back to bite you. Even if it feels like it's accurate, even if it feels like it's right, you can make suggestions. You can say, hey, could you check on your calcium levels? I feel like this is low, or I feel like something's going on here. You can do that, right? But don't say you have this, or don't say you have this and here's what will fix that, because you can get in a lot of trouble, just legally speaking. So just want to stay away from that. We can make suggestions, but we don't diagnose. Okay, again, unless you're a doctor, in which case, if that's your specialty, go right ahead. Physical mediumship. This one is fascinating. Okay, so am I answering your questions okay so far, Sydney? Or are you understanding what I'm saying so far? Okay, perfect. All right, so physical mediumship, well, I'll express it like it says here. So physical mediumship, I'm not really chatty. Oh, that's okay. That's okay, Sydney. I'm just making sure that you're understanding it. You don't have to write a long thing. So I understand. I understand. I can talk enough for both of us, so please don't worry about that. I can fill the silence with all sorts of stuff. Okay, physical mediumship. Physical mediumship is much like trance mediumship, but it is a much deeper connection to spirit. Physical mediums can use ectoplasms from their bodies to form spirits and other phenomena. People in the room with physical mediums can all see these phenomena at the same time. It's no longer a subjective experience only. Now it's objective, as others can see the spirits or other phenomena forming around the physical medium themselves. And here it is right here. I don't know if this should probably show what physical mediumship looks like, so here's some examples. Ignore the fact that the laptop is see-through looking, but look at those examples there. So this one right here, or the other one on the other side, that is a trumpet. That's a spirit trumpet, and spirits use that to form a voice box so that they can speak. But when they speak, it's their voice. It's actually the spirit's voice coming through the ectoplasm, and it creates a voice box. This one over here, this is Gordon Higginson, and you can see he's got something coming out of his mouth. It's kind of hard to see. It's not showing it that well. The trumpet comes through, but the other one doesn't. So it's ectoplasm that comes from the medium. And it's kind of like a dense fog would be the way you could describe it, like a sticky, dense fog almost that comes out of the medium. And that's the ectoplasm. It's sensitive to light, which is really interesting. So that's why it has to be done in like a dark room with red light. It's really interesting. And Gordon Higginson, you can look him up when it comes to mediums and mediumship. He was one of the best. He was known as one of the best mediums of his time. Okay. So, physical mediums and ectoplasm. This is what the ectoplasm looks like. When a physical medium is producing it, it can come out of every orifice. Yes, even that one. Okay? So, remember that. This is done by the consciousness of the medium being somewhere else, so that the spirit and spirit guides can come through in a much more dense and physical way. Ectoplasm is fascinating. It is like a gas or a liquid, and spirit uses this ectoplasm as a means to materialize. Okay, so spirit basically uses the ectoplasm as a vehicle for themselves to materialize. There's evidence, like all over the world, of spirits manifesting in different ways, and all of them kind of have an ectoplasmic-like state to them. But mediums are able to, physical mediums are able to produce ectoplasm. All mediums can produce ectoplasm when they've reached a certain point, but only physical mediums can produce a large amount of ectoplasm. And there's a lot of debate, or rather, I guess I'm thinking, I don't know if anyone can be a physical medium or if it has to be specifically, because a lot of people are saying it's genetic, if you're a physical medium or not. But to me, it sounds very similar to the same situation of, are you born a medium or do you have this or that? I feel like it can be developed to a pretty great degree, just depending on how much your dedication is there. All right. So what are the Claire abilities? I think I'll finish this up, Sydney, and then I'm going to head to the old bedtimes. But I'll finish this up first, okay? So what are the Claire abilities? When it comes to connecting with spirit, there are a few ways of connecting, but primarily in my lesson, we will be focusing on mental mediumship. Okay, mental mediumship is the one I've had experience with. Haven't had that much experience with the other forms of mediumship. I've had a teeny bit with trance, but okay, good. All right. Mental mediumship is a very active kind of connection. We are getting information from the spirit world and holding the link, letting ourselves, to the best of our conscious ability, allow the spirit world to speak through us. How does spirit speak through us? By what process is this happening? This is through the clair abilities. Okay, so clair ability definitions. Clairvoyance, okay? Clear seeing. This involves seeing an image flash in your mind, possibly while not thinking anything at all. Okay, and when I talk about the still pond, Sydney, I was talking about that still pond. When I'm talking about the still pond, there's no thoughts going on in your head. When we don't have any thoughts going on in our head, okay, imagine that pond. We can have, if someone throws a stone, we'll know what direction that stone came from and we'll hear the stone being thrown in the water, right? But a lot of people have a mind and a pond, and there's rain falling on that pond. And when there's rain falling on a pond, even if someone did throw a rock in there, you would have no idea. It's the constant thinking and the buzzing of thoughts that makes it so we're not able to pick up messages, because we're always thinking about thoughts. If we're always thinking about thoughts, there's no room for anything else. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, clear seeing, clairvoyance. This involves seeing an image flash in your mind, possibly while not thinking anything at all. And all of a sudden there can be a very detailed image that just kind of pops in and then leaves. These images can be very symbolic and personal. They can even be based on witty puns, such as two eyes looking at each other and then putting this puzzle together as people seeing eye to eye. Yeah, spirit will speak through puns sometimes, okay? It's interesting. It's a puzzle, kind of. It's like you're solving a puzzle sometimes. Okay, clairaudience, clear hearing, is the ability to hear something. Okay, I put here in quotations on this because it's not hearing, but it is hearing, if that makes sense. The physical ears aren't necessarily there, but you're still hearing. Okay. So you're hearing something, a voice that is saying something that you can distinctly tell is not your own. I will receive names and sometimes other bits of information that can be very evidential from this psychic faculty. So clairaudience is actually one of the clair abilities that you want to develop, because imagine if you ask a spirit what its name is and it gives you a first and last name. It doesn't happen very often from my experience, but I need to develop more. But getting names, getting details like that, eventually with clairaudience, you can get a lot of details and a lot of information, because you can hear what the spirit says. You can hear that they're saying something. Okay, so clairsentience. Clairsentience is clear feeling. Okay, so, well, we'll have this here. Clear feeling is being able to tap into someone's emotional state or emotions in general, very much like an empath, and feel what they are feeling. This is a primary reason why we as mediums need to understand ourselves as best as we can, so that when we give a message, we understand that these emotions are not our own, and that these emotions are actually part of Spirit's way of communicating with us. A classic example is this. Imagine that we are communicating with the spirit, and all of a sudden we feel very scared. Some people would say that this is an evil spirit or something that wants to do us harm. Well, in actuality, the spirit may be showing you that it was very scared and still is, because maybe the way they passed was frightening. Okay, maybe something happened along those ways. So we would feel fear, but, horror movies, Hollywood has told us that if we feel fear from a spirit, it's bad and it's negative. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. It could be because it's conveying those kinds of emotion, right? Hi, Janet. Janet from Trinidad. So that's something we can keep in mind, okay? All right, clairgustance. Clear tasting is the ability to taste possible food or maybe something else. For instance, sometimes when I feel someone has died of cancer, I also taste something rotten in my mouth, which makes it pretty unmistakable. Of course, this is just a personal example. Every single one of you will have a different soul expression of your mediumship. Hope everything's going okay, Janet. I'm just I'm just talking about mediumship development. We're on the clairs right now. And yeah, so I've had experiences where I connected with someone, a loved one that was trying to impress upon me that they died of cancer, impressed upon me that, you know, this rotten taste in my mouth, and I was just fine before. I had just brushed my teeth, I was getting ready to do this session, and there was this overwhelming sensation of something rotten, right? And cancer is kind of that sort of thing. So for me, that was an indicator that there was cancer. Okay. You won't always get signs like that. But when we develop and we keep developing and we keep getting stronger, it's easier to interpret these messages. At first, I feel like Spirit gives us really easy ways and really like abrupt ways of giving us messages. And eventually, as time goes on, it becomes more and more subtle, but not in a way that's like harder to read, but in a way that's like you don't need all of the fanfare and all the fluff of the information. You're just able to give a reading. You're just able to give messages. And you don't need all those sensations necessarily, because they're distracting. Once we've hit a certain level of development, you want to make it so you're not distracted, you're not feeling all these things. It's much easier to be in the power, to be contacting Spirit when we're not being distracted by all these sensations and feelings, because they can be overwhelming at times. Okay, so clairvoyance. All right, so clairgustance is tasting, clairvoyance is smelling. I think I may have got those two mixed up before, but so clairvoyance is clear smelling. With this sense, we can finally smell what the rock has been cooking. Okay, seriously though, this psychic sense is the ability to be able to smell certain things that others are not perceiving. Like the perfume your grandmother wore, or the smell of a relative's favorite dinner being cooked, or maybe even a fart, okay? That happened with me, and your mileage may vary. My first mediumship experience, I smelled a fart, and it wasn't mine, so take that as you will. I'll have to tell you the story one of these days. There is also one other clair, which is claircognizance, or clear knowing. This is something that has been developing in people more recently, supposedly. This ability was said to be one that was not around, say, 50 years ago as much, but now we are becoming much more aware of instantly knowing what we don't know. Okay, so that's an important part when we're talking about these clairs. Okay, so that's the end of the class, but that's part one of the mediumship class that I teach. But hopefully, Sydney, that was good. Sydney, you came in about in the middle of that, so but I feel like you came in when you were supposed to come in and hear what you were supposed to hear. So, but that was kind of how it was. Do you have any questions or anything? Yes, I did. I smelled a fart. So basically, the story was, I connected with a woman. Her son had passed from a hit and run. Okay, the person just ran him over and just kept driving. Didn't stop. They never got a license plate, nothing like that. And when I connected with this spirit, I said, can you give me a sign? Can you give me something that is, so that I know it's you? Can you give me some evidence so that I know it's you? And he farted, right? And I said, I smell a fart. And then she laughed. She was laughing really hard, and she said that's what he would do. He was a practical joker. So he would do stuff like that all the time. And that was one of them. And so that to her gave her proof, that gave her evidence that her son was still living on. So that was something that was powerful for her. And then it was my first mediumship experience. And then that night, my girlfriend had no idea that I was doing this. I did this later at night. I did it like 10 or 11 at night. I was doing the mediumship reading. And after, my girlfriend told me she had a really weird dream, and there was this guy in it, and he had red hair, and he was really tall, and he didn't say very much. And I showed her a picture. I said, did he look like this? And I showed her a picture of the guy that I did the reading for. I didn't tell her what was going on, and she said, oh my God, yes, that's him. And that was awesome, because she saw the same person that I had been interacting with, and she had no idea I did the reading. So she dreamed about him, and I did a reading for him. So there was some congruency there. I sometimes feel like my dad is around. I smell his perfume and he's been gone 17 years now. I could tell he's around. I miss him so much. I'm sorry, Janet, that you miss him, but that's good. That's good that you can smell that. You know, you can feel that sense of closeness, right? When you have that smell, you feel like he's around and you get that sense of presence. And that's awesome. Yeah, so that was my first mediumship experience, Sydney, and that was interesting. I'm still developing now. I'm still learning now. I want to get more practice than I have currently, but all of that comes in time. All of it's a gentle process. There's no rush, you know. But yeah, so that's something that I feel like I do have a part 2 for this class. It's just going to be a minute before we get to that. Part 2 is a little more in depth. We talk about different forms of consciousness. We talk about a lot of stuff. Okay, so part 2 will be another time we can do that. But if you guys like to know about mediumship ability, or you guys have questions like tarot, you want a tarot reader to read for you guys, please subscribe to the channel. Sydney, you already did. Like the channel, or like it too if you want. And if you guys would like, you can support me on my Patreon. $5 a month makes it so when you do ask a question, you get some money off. So you get 30% off if you sign up for $5 a month. So that would be $7 a question instead of 10, if you guys would want to do that. And you would actually save quite a bit of money if you had more than one question a month. It would pay for itself if you had 2 questions a month. Okay, so you're very welcome, Sydney. You're very, very welcome. And yeah, so like I said, I'm also thinking of launching a class where we can have people coming together and actually doing mediumship exercises with each other. So if that's something you want to do, you can go to my website and you can sign up for a free email list. It's free. It says on there that you're pledging for something, but there's no money that's exchanged. It's just letting you know when the class becomes available. And then at that point, I'll probably charge $40 for the class, and it'll probably be a 4-week class, maybe a little bit more, or maybe I'll charge $60. I'm not sure yet, but it would be like a 4-week class, and it would be on the weekends, probably Saturday, and it would last for maybe 1 to 2 hours. So if that's something you're interested in, that's something we can move forward with as well. But just go to my website, click on classes. My website's down in the description. Click on classes, and then you'll find my my thing where you can sign up with your email address. So if that's something you're interested in, we can absolutely go forward with that. Yeah. Okay. So everyone, thank you so much for stopping by the channel, and I will talk to you guys a little later. Like I said, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you guys know when I'm live. When I'm not doing tarot readings, I love talking about mediumship and the ability, answering questions that way. But I also do tarot readings as well, energy healing if you guys need that. Some mediumship. If I do a mediumship reading for you guys, it's going to be about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And if I'm not able to get anything, I'll give you your money back. I'm still learning with my mediumship ability. If I'm really not able to get anything, if you pay through Cashapp or PayPal, I'll just refund you your money. So you guys can stay on, wait till you get your refund if for some reason it didn't, I'm still learning. And yeah. All right. Good night, everyone. And I will talk to you guys. I'll either be live tomorrow or Monday or both. So be on the lookout, and everyone have a great night, and I'll see you guys later, okay? Toodaloo, everybody.